Here we go again. Many years ago, months, shall I say, I did a video saying why women shouldn't be football pundits. Case and study, Eni Aluko. And here we are back again. She's reared her ugly head once more, figuratively and literally, and she's attacking Ian Wright again. Actually, she made a comment again to Nedum Onuoha, covering the female something, female championship. We're not sure what that is because no one cares about female football. Women's football is and will always be an oxymoron because football is a man's game. It's a hardcore, masculine contact sport. Women are incapable of it. That's just the truth. We don't need to go over the many thousand reasons why. But we're talking about punditry today. She's reared her ugly head once more. Let's see what she says and the reaction to it. I'm going to be reacting to Talk Sports coverage of the situation. Hopefully they have a lot of details on it. If not, we'll look for ours. Let's go.
How much does your playing CV matter to the event that you're actually covering? Now, the reason I asked, former Lionesses striker Eni Aluko has criticised the choice of pundits used for the Women's Euro 2025 final featuring...
That's a very good question. How much does your playing experience affect your ability to do the punditry for the sport you're covering? Very good question. Now, do we not have women pundits in the men's Premier League? Do we not have that? Do we not have women sitting down and sharing opinions with Roy Keane and Paul Scholes? Do we not have those? And do we not call it ridiculous whenever we see it? Well, I do. I call it ridiculous whenever I see it. It's strange for Paul Scholes, Ian Wright, Owen Hargreaves, Steve McManaman, Michael Owen, all these guys to be talking about football, and you have women sitting down next to them and offering opinions. How can you do that? You're not qualified to do that. It's not possible for a woman to give a valid opinion on football because they've never played football against a man. You do not play competitive football against men. How then can you offer good, solid punditry? You don't know what real football is. You play with children. Okay, very good. Alex Scott does Premier League. Jill Scott does Premier League. Right? So Jill Scott. This is Jill Scott. This is Alex Scott. Why are you talking about Jesus? No. Oh, Jill Scott is a lesbian. Oh, who would have figured? I called her a lesbian just for fun. Turns out she actually is a lesbian. There we go. Lesbians are talking football. Oh my Jesus. Anyway, so why is she talking about men's football? Has she ever played against Elukobi? These are the people that let me show you who Elukobi is. Can she play against this guy? Has she ever faced a unit like this motherfucking guy? Look, okay. So a woman not play against this guy, and you call it, and you're a footballer, not had the opportunity to face someone like this, and you claim to play football, or you claim to have played football. All women team. You just can't. They're not qualified. It's hard, but what you do is you are pretty, you sit down, you regulate the discussion with the men, you know enough to, segue and lead people into questions or discussions, and you're beautiful, there's banter, and we like seeing you on the screen, but you're not there giving actual football insight, tactical opinions, tactical decisions. You're not breaking down tactics. You're not talking about transfers like Eni did, saying that when she was an executive, she would call an opposing team to say, put in a bid for this player and we'll do an incremental bid. Absolute rubbish. Okay, so see, presenter. So there's a difference between a presenter, look, beautiful, blonde hair, attractive, perfect. Then punditry. Punditry are the people who have played actual football. The women are just pretty people who serve the coffee and ask questions.
England versus Spain. She was part of ITV's punditry team for Euro 2025, but didn't work on an England game and wasn't involved in the final. She claimed last April that Ian Wright's presence had made it tougher for female pundits to get a gig in the industry.
That's so strange, right? That the women's game is trying to increase its viewers. Then a famous person decides to lend you his limelight. He decides to lend you his stardom. He's lending you his credibility and giving you insights on the game that we all thought. We all thought that football is the world game. It's not the men's game. It's not the women's game. We all thought, and we're all propagandized to believe that football is for everyone. Therefore, it shouldn't matter if a man is giving an opinion on football. Even though to me it matters as a chauvinist, because I believe that football is the men's game. It's the man's game. But you go against that. You have the cognitive dissonance to remember that Ian Wright is a man, therefore should not be commenting on a woman's game. And you're there crying about Ian Wright giving you credibility when you can't even mention a woman to replace him.
She said on Radio 4's Women's Hour last April, I've worked with Ian for a long time. And, I think he's a brilliant broadcaster, but I think he's aware of just how much he's doing in the women's game. I think he should be aware of that. We need to be conscious, and we need to make sure that women are not being blocked from having a pathway into broadcasting in the women's game. Now,
we covered all this last year. That was this video. We covered it ad infinitum. So this was it. Yeah, Eni Aluko faces the axe who accusing calling Ian Wright of blocking females on punditry work. Yeah, we discussed all this last year.
Eni Aluko later publicly apologized to Wright, who responded by saying that he couldn't accept that apology. Now, Aluko...
Yes, because, as I said, a man like a Joey Barton, for example, expresses a similar opinion and goes to prison for it. He goes to prison for just being honest about the fact that football is a different sport when it's played by women. It's not football. It's something else. We just don't have a word for it yet. He goes to prison for that. But she can just say that and apologize. And Ian Wright has to like, oh yeah, I can't accept the apology. The question, the appropriate response to such a heinous accusation would be more biting, more cutting than that. But Ian Wright is supposed to be the champion for women, so he can't say a bad word. I can.
Has continued the theme of this debate, talking about pundit choices for the Euro 2025 women's final. This was her speaking on the 90s Baby Show.
So what is...
So that said, we covered it extensively, and we discovered that
at the women's Lionesses final, I'm sat in the stands.
So she just wants the job. She's crying that she's useless. No one cares about her anymore. She blew her opportunity. She has a big predator-type forehead, and she's not good for the camera, clearly. That's what she has to do on this Roadman podcast, whatever. And she's crying that she's in the stands, but then other people are getting the opportunity that she wants.
So
even though she had an opportunity, but she blew it.
I wasn't on ITV for the final. Farrah Williams was sat next to me. Farrah Williams has 170 caps for England. I think...
I'm not going to Google who that is. It's irrelevant.
Something ridiculous. Like, I think she's the most capped player. She sat in the stands. The two broadcasters that had the rights for the game, ITV...
Taking over this time. Still want to follow.
BBC. On BBC, you've got, I think it was Ellen White, Steph Houghton, Nedum and Noura.
Okay, so this is a problem. Nedum Onuoha is a former England Man City, where he played in America as well. QPR. His name is Listen or Liston. Nedum. So Nedum, that's his name. Nedum. So he's a Man City ambassador. He never played for England, for the England national team. Right? So he has 0 caps for England. Is kind of her point. But she's saying that a woman has 100 and something caps, but she's in the stand, and Chinedu here has 0 caps for England, but he's doing the point. Well, the point is that as a man, whatever football he has played, as a professional, he is already higher than you. He has worked with better managers. He has played for bigger teams. He has played against better opponents. He has been in more elaborate tactical meetings. He has experienced more teams. Played for Man City, which at his time would have qualified for the Europa League. And different scenarios, many different levels of the game above whatever it is a woman is doing in the sport of football. So that inherently qualifies him to speak on football at any level, right? If he's tasked with watching Bundesliga matches and giving insight and punditry, he has the right to do that. He has earned the right. Of course, if he's sat next to somebody more qualified, we will weigh his opinion heavier than, say, who's the defender? Let's say a Rio Ferdinand. Automatically, we will do that because Rio Ferdinand played for England at multiple tournaments, won more trophies. You know, he's more accomplished, so his opinions will matter more, right? But then he has, let's say, now that he's what's the word? Now that he is outside of football, he will probably be playing what's the word? He will probably have undergone media training in order to be able to have a good job doing punditry. So he works for ESPN, and in the UK he does for other people, right? So he's qualified simply for the fact that he has played football at a much higher level than any woman. That's just the truth.
No offense to Nedum and Nora, nothing against him. I don't know whether he played for England or not. But you're on the main panel for the final.
He didn't play for England. He didn't play for England. These are under 20s and under 21s do not count. They don't count.
For England women. Let's go over to ITV. I'm in the stands with 105 caps. So you've got two women. Between us, we've got 290 caps. Something ridiculous.
But this hairline, inside, Jesus.
Right? You turn over to ITV, and it's Ian Wright, Emma Hayes, and Kaz Carney.
Okay, so she's crying that Emma Hayes gets the job ahead of her. Let's see how many caps Ian Wright has. I mean, do we need to check? Do we need to ask these questions? Do we need to ask? Because, I mean, it's a little bit of an insult, but we will have to tolerate it just for the purpose of this discussion. I don't want to spend too much time on this. How many caps for England? That's 3 caps, 9 goals. All right. Let's see his honors and awards. Oh, he's an MBE. All right. Well, let's see. Crystal Palace, FA Cup honor, Arsenal Premier League, FA Cup, European Cup, Winners' Cup. I mean, UEFA Intertoto Cup. Come on. Next stop. Stop.
Out of 6 spots on 2 of the main... You can't watch the game anywhere else. Out of 6 punditry spots, 2 have gone to men. Yeah?
Okay. Out of 6 punditry spots, 2 have gone to men. What is the problem with that? So the majority are women? And that's bad how? It's not even equal. If we're talking about equality, out of 6, there should be more men than 2 on the panel. There should be 3 men and 3 women in the name of so-called equality. But equality is not what animals like this want. Is it?
Meanwhile, you've got 290, whatever it is.
Playing football as a woman, you are not more qualified than someone who's never had a cap for England. Adam Johnson is more qualified than you, bro. Stop.
Yeah. Sitting in the stands.
So,
Guess responded to the entire discussion, the reaction, the controversy. So let's see what she has to say for herself. This woman, man, she just wants clout, just needs clout. That's why she does all these things. But obviously, there's a much larger conversation to be had, which we've already had about this. Let's listen.
So, quick one. I've always been open to having a conversation with Ian Wright, with mutual...
Shut the fuck up, bro. Like, you already burned that bridge. You claim that he's taking up space. He's blocking other women from positions. He was around promoting football before you were even born. So you have no leg to stand on. You can't speak in the same dimension as Ian Wright.
Respect, respect towards me for everything I've done in the game.
Like what? Like what?
And respect towards him for everything he's done in the game. Ian, if you're watching this, that there's been sort of like, I don't want to work with her, and there's sort of this active choice that people are now having to make, which is childish. I'm putting it out there.
Ian Wright, childish. Ooh.
That I'm more than open to a conversation with Ian Wright.
What is that, bro?
I've said my piece. I've given more context. I've been quiet for a very long time. The weaponization of Ian Wright's name against me is why we're still talking about him. When I apologized to Ian Wright publicly and privately, he had an opportunity to show the grace and the allyship that he showed to many other people. Unfortunately, my sincerity, my humility was met with disrespect.
Ah, my humility that comes out once every 1,000 years.
He greenlit all of these people to further abuse me for my opinion. That we always know they're going to paint me out to be the bad person, the bitter, angry black woman.
Yes, angry black woman, of course. Of course. Anyone doing this. So yeah.
It's the same playbook. Same playbook against Diane Abbott.
Oh my God. She's putting herself in the same position as Meghan Markle. No.
Against Meghan Markle, against Dawn Butler, the same playbook. It's predictable at this point. We're here because there was an opportunity after I apologized to come together and have a conversation, but rather there was a green lighting of lots of abuse and lots of weaponization. People don't care about apologies. People don't care about sincerity. People don't care about respect. They want you to be cancelled. They want you to be punished. They want to see you lose your job.
You had a job, and you on that job, you're crying about other people taking a job that you already have. How's that sensible? And then tomorrow you're crying about racism and all that. As I said in the previous video, Ian Wright is only surviving this because he's black. If he was white, he'd be gone. He would be finished because it would be seen as racism or something.
Why? Because they're miserable. They're not going anywhere in life, so they need to feed that sense of well, it's jealousy really. So the nice apology approach didn't work. Didn't serve me. Now, there's people that will always hold their view because they've already formed a view of me that's based on a Daily Mail diet, that's based on
Daily Mail.
on a media diet of bashing black women, which, as I said, same playbook, boring at this point. I choose what environments I'm in. I choose when to show up. I communicated.
I choose when to show up. That's very good for a broadcaster to know. I choose when to show up.
Last year that I don't want to be part of a UK broadcasting industry that doesn't know how to protect women. I said I need a break. So it's an active choice. So for all of these people who think that I'm beholden to this desperation to be part of the popularity contest, I'm not interested.
And or being in the stands at the Euros.
Interested. And that's a very powerful position to be in. Oh, you know, that's why you're losing opportunities. I choose against certain opportunities.
Man, even cope is too strong to describe this.
Last year.
Last year? Yeah. So, when I go compare myself to prime Wayne Rooney, I probably was what Wayne Rooney was in terms of being that new young kid on the block, banging the goals at 16, 17.
I mean, I was probably what Wayne Rooney was in terms of like being the young kid on the like the new kid on the block. Like mine, you know, I was banging in goals at like 16, 17. I mean,
you're a woman. You're a woman. You're banging in goals. Oh my God. Look at this face, bro. Look at this. Jesus. A former England player, double down Chris McAlroy, who describes pundits' comments as damaging to the growth of the women's game. Will this be behind the paywall? If Ian Wright was an ally, he would have given up jobs for me. Funny as hell. Okay, so we have the full article. Let's check it out. In the first episode that was released on Saturday, she criticized ITV and BBC for selecting two male pundits in Wright and Onuoha, respectively, while she, Farah Williams, sat in the stand. Oh, okay, there we go. Ridiculous. Moving on. I can't stand this one.
So you heard it there, Simon. Mark,
Bitch, fucking, I don't even see your tears.
out of 6 punditry spots, 2 have gone to men. Meanwhile, you've got 290 cats, whatever, is sitting in the stands. The 2 other women that she mentioned. I mean, it boils down to it, I think, really. Why are male pundits on duty during women's finals? Should they be?
Well, I mean, look, I feel that Ian Wright is...
Look, see, this is where I start to have the problem. Someone has given you the context, he has given you the scenario, he has asked you a question as a man, right? He has asked you a question. Should there be male commentators, male pundits on the women's game? The correct answer is yes. Yes. Because the men bring a higher level of insight than the woman would. If what we're talking about is football. And if a man is not allowed to perform the role of a pundit in women's football, if that's true, then women should not be allowed to do punditry on men's football. But I see it all the time. I see it all the time. And that's one of the reasons I stopped watching football. Because you'd be trying to, they have lesbians on. Fucking lesbians on.
It's a really very...
And you have, what's his name? Martin Keown. Is that what this is? Martin Keown, yeah. You have Martin Keown, who is supposed to be a man, supposed to be a hard man. He's supposed to just stand up and answer the question, yes or no. The Bible says, let your yes be yes or your no be no. Any other thing is from the devil. Answer the question, then you give your reasons behind it. If the answer is yes, you'll say, why? And I'll say, and that's the funny thing, this question can be answered yes or no. Right? Let's hear the question again.
She mentioned. I mean, it boils down to it, I think, really. Why are male pundits on duty during women's finals?
Why are male... Okay.
Should they be?
What?
Should there be male pundits in women's final? You can answer the question two ways. Yes or no. Now, the yes answer, like me, a normie would call me misogynist, chauvinist, whatever. Right? So, should there be male pundits in the women's game? I say no. I say no. Because the qualified male pundits are underemployed in giving commentary and punditry to the women's game. That is, they are grossly underemployed. They're not operating at the highest level. A man who gets a broadcasting job with ITV or wherever, being asked to go and give punditry for the women's game is an insult. If I'm a real Ferdinand and they ask me to go and to do punditry for the women's final, I will be insulted because I am this accomplished. I have this many caps for England. I have this many trophies for Manchester United. It is an insult. And they wouldn't dare. There are certain people they would not dare ask to do punditry for a women's football. So they know the types of people that they can put in there. People like Ian Wright, who cares for some reason about women's football. And people like Nedum Onuoha, who, while being a professional footballer, did not ascend to the heights that people like Martin Keown have. People like Roy Keane, for course. Gary Neville is a fucking liberal, so he would want to do such a thing to show that he's down with the cause or whatever. But if you're a real man, like Steve McManaman, like a Michael Owen, like a proper lad, you would be insulted if somebody asked you to do punditry for a women's match. One, you don't watch it. We don't watch women play football. So why are you asking to do punditry? I don't know who these women are.
Well, I mean, look, I feel that Ian Wright is a really very big respected voice in the game of football in general, and that crosses over into the women's game as well. And if they...
Yes, because he has inserted himself. So actually, Eni Aluko is not wrong. That's why I said, so the question one was, should men do commentary for women's sports or women's football? I say no, because the sport is segmented for a reason. Right? So putting men in women's jobs is wrong. Putting women in men's jobs is wrong. So I agree with that. So to me, on that note, she's not wrong. But on the flip side, men should, or you can answer the question and say, yes, men should do punditry in women's football because men bring a much deeper insight to the female game and they raise the level. They are serving to increase the viewership, to elevate the discussion, right? Male ex-footballers have more fans than female current footballers, basically. So if you're talking about having a superstar coming in to lend more light to the women's game, you are bringing in more viewers and you're bringing in a much higher level of discourse. So both things can be true at the same time. It just depends on what you want. Do you want the best possible insight and delivery in punditry? Get a man to do it. That's how life works. Do you want women's football to stand on its own, separate from men's football? Then do it. You will have less viewers. You have to accept that reality. And the overall quality of the product will be hampered when you have no men on the panel. The reason why this discussion is even being had, the reason why we even know there was a people championship was because there was a man there. If there wasn't a man there, we wouldn't even know. And that's the point.
They are growing an audience, Jim. There is an argument that the women's audience is a new audience. By the way, it's growing massively. That they want somebody who's a respected voice from the men's game to do that job.
Exactly. A much higher level of punditry.
I mean, Ian has been a big advocate for women's football, so I don't really see a divide for him.
But she does have a point. I mean, why is there a necessity to have male voices commentating on the women's game?
Good point. So, as I said, it just depends on what the broadcasters want. The broadcaster wants a respected cognitive voice to lend credibility to what, to me, is Quidditch. Women's sports is fiction. Women's football is an oxymoron, as I've always said. So they bring in a man to pretend that this is a credible sport, which is not. So if we're being honest, women should do this themselves. They have enough professionals, they have enough ex-professionals, they have enough people, women, to do this by themselves. So as I've said, if you're a high-level footballer, you should be insulted being asked to do the women's game. But Ian Wright is someone who believes that women's football is real, like Santa Claus. So he tries his best to lend as much legitimacy to the fake sport as possible. Strange, but that's his decision. It's a little bit homosexual, but it's fine in 2026.
Any more than it's a necessity to have women's voices commentating on the male game.
Thank you. Get women commentators out of the male game. I've seen it too much. I've seen some even try to give analysis. Ridiculous.
I view she has a point.
Ian's been there from the inception,
and that's fine. And with due respect, Ian will also do it for his own benefits. This idea that Ian's all philanthropic about the women's game, I have my debate on that one, but notwithstanding that, he's a powerful voice that increases the awareness. So if she wants the awareness to be increased. Now, the real question is, why are there 4 other women being in these positions? And as far as she's concerned, she's not one of them. I would suggest...
That's it. 4 women against 2 men is not even equality.
That she's not a very good broadcaster. That might be one of the reasons why. And if you want to learn, I've had Eni, I don't dislike, I think she's quite an intelligent lady. She's qualified in law, she's nobody's fool, but some of the things that come out of her mouth are foolish. She came on this show about 2 years ago debating with me the idea that Manchester City concocted a transfer deal between sporting directors to try and get, I think it was Declan Rice, wasn't it, that Pep Guardiola was using his influence to be able to convince Arsenal to pay £100 million for Declan Rice.
That was so ridiculous. That was what I was talking about earlier. You guys need to see that clip. Was it there? Well, it was horrific.
Concocted between the sporting directors. It was preposterous nonsense and had no real substance behind it, and it got some traction and we had a debate about it. I've also listened to her on various podcasts, a lot of heritage podcasts, and if you want to learn anything about Eni, then you can just listen to that particular podcast. Her main issue is that she doesn't get things because of her colour and she doesn't get things because of her sex, and none of it to do with the fact that she doesn't get things because she's not a particularly good broadcaster. In your view? In my view. I think if you listen to her, I think she's inaccurate a lot of the time that she talks about things, and I think she says things that are rather silly, but not...
Okay, things that are rather silly. Just listen to this. Let's do the vignette. Just as a sample, as a tip.
So he really has. He's the top scorer for Brazil over the last 2 years. He's got a great record, 19 goals in 40 appearances. Do the math on that. It's one goal a game, pretty much. It doesn't get any worse than a 10-point deduction. That's probably the worst punishment you can get. And they responded really well. Got some big wins. Players like Dwight, they were playing really well, scoring goals. And ultimately, I think just be a bit more consistent. Because sometimes it can be amazing seconds and the next minute's over the bar. But he's consistent, right? I don't think Manchester City actually want to sign Declan Rice. I think what's going on here is Arteta's picked up the phone to Pep, said, listen, Arsenal are going to do the sort of incremental bid approach. If you put a higher bid in, that will push my owner to... I think there's a bit of that going on here. All-time legend.
It's said that Pep was trying to help Arsenal sign Declan Rice, and that they're colluding among themselves so that Arsenal would do it. I can't even repeat it because it's so stupid.
Notwithstanding that, there are plenty of people that do that. So maybe when you're pointing your finger out at other people, there's 4 fingers pointing back at yourself. You might want to ask yourself, there's 4 women in the studios that have less caps than you, that are being deemed more qualified to speak about things. Put aside the issue about the 2 men out of the 6 pundits, and look at why Karen Carney, or look at why Steph Holton, or look at whoever else she spoke about there, and ask yourself why you aren't.
It's a bit unkind on them, actually, because I actually think that the Karen and Eleanor White are very good at what they do.
But she doesn't want to attack the choice.
But should Nedum be commentated as a man? Should he be? Obviously he's
And they are.
say yes to it because it's a commercial offer and he accepts it. But should he be there, quite prominent in a pundit panel?
No, so you can see the problem now. Now we are attacking Nedum Onuoha. We're asking about his credibility. Someone who's just out there trying to do a job. Now this woman has thrown this negative energy into it, and now we're turning on ourselves. We're saying, is Nedum Onuoha qualified to speak on football? It's football, right?
Commenting on what he sees in a women's final. Should Ian Wright have been there? Did you not? You're the punditry.
Well, many years ago, yes, when ladies football was being sort of introduced again, I was heading that up.
Did you feel there was an eligibility issue there? Were you qualified to talk about women's football?
I actually saw it as an honour that they felt that I could come.
Oh my God, what a fucking snitch. What, them? It was an honour? Really, nigga? Fuck off out of here. You don't even know who these people are. You don't know who these people are. It's Quidditch. Let me show you what women's football is. This is women's football. Let me show you. Well, a black person is playing, so they made it kind of...
Oh, no, readers.
They made it kind of real. But yeah, Quidditch. It's Quidditch.
If you want to learn how to
come in from the men's game and just offer us something a little bit different.
So if we take these two guys out, the assumption in her mind is that she'd be a shoo-in for that position. I think she might want to have a look at a body of work. I think that actually, even if there were spaces were available on those two men that were there, I think she has a point. Why is there a necessity in women's football to have men commenting on the game?
I think when the game develops, when it develops, I think we will see an all women.
I hope so. I hope that we see all women owners. I hope that we see all women chairmen, because chairpersons, because they ultimately, that's what the game requires, and that's what it should have, and that's what they should want to have. All these women that want women's football to be successful and women's sports to be successful. Let's start seeing some investment.
There needs to be some patience. I mean, when was it introduced professionalism? 2011. That sort of time, the WSL. So for that side of it, the broadcast
is not even 15 years old. Women's football is not even old enough to have sex. You're not even old enough to smoke, and you're talking. You're talking. So it's a baby. It's not even real. We're carrying it literally.
Side of it, it will be in place. You watch the highlights now on BBC. It's pretty well all women that are involved in the game, Jim, broadcasting. And that by the time we get to the main tournaments in a few years' time, what we've won 2 European Championships now, the England national team, then rightfully so, these women will go into these positions. But once it's sort of like it's had its handheld a little bit to come into mainstream.
Oh, handheld by who? Women's sports is being handheld by who? Good question.
Then we've had men around the game. Ian Wright's been one of those.
Well, we talk about the success of the women's international side, which far eclipses ours. So it's on its own feet now. We talk about,
but that's what it means. England is so dominant, they're dominating the international championship, European championship. If the American women are dominating World Cups here and there, Japan, all these other countries, they're playing so well on the women's side. How come it's not reflected on the men's side? Very good question. It's the same country, they eat the same food. Why? Because it's a different game. It's a different sport. That's the point.
About these broadcasters that constantly tell us how important the women's game is, and constantly tell us about patronising that particular sport, the BBC being a particular flag wave of that. Why do you need men in the studio then? You don't. Patronise these women. I agree with Eni. My question then would be, on what basis, because you paid 170 times for England, you can barely hold a sentence together, you should be ultimately in the studio? Is that what we're talking about?
You've got to be good at your
170 times.
Yeah, ultimately, you've got to be good at your job, haven't you? It's not what you did on the football pitch.
Eni's
argument is, it is what you did in the football pitch. Farrah Williams was sitting beside 170 caps for England. Something ridiculous.
Well, Farrah probably had a strong case.
And she says that she's the most cap player, and she's sat in the stands.
And now becoming an experienced and good broadcaster.
But
so
should a whole...
Two different things. The fact that you played this much football doesn't mean that you are able to sit down and speak about it to an effective degree that a broadcaster will want or enjoy. There are things that come into play when it comes to broadcasting. How good do you work on the camera? Do you know your camera? Do you understand the lights and the cues and when you're supposed to stop talking and when you're supposed to give insight? There are technical things to broadcasting, and of course the knowledge aspect is there, but it's going to, there are other things in factor that come into play when it comes to broadcasting. Just like they're not going to give you, not every newspaper is going to give you a syndicated column if you can't write, for example.
A whole bunch of caps entitle you to automatically be considered to be part of a punditry panel.
No, because it's in the punditry world, it's how you're perceived.
It's a decent qualification. It's an entrance point.
Yes,
It's like having a resume that tells you can do a job. Once you open your mouth and you go on TV and start talking rubbish, then ultimately it forgets what you've done on the pitch. It doesn't qualify. It's like an excellent player. It doesn't qualify to be an excellent manager.
But there would
Otherwise, Wayne Rooney would be a well-beaten manager.
When there would be a team of producers behind the scenes who decide who's that person going to be.
Of course.
It would be like reflected on how you do within the tournament. When I did the 2018 World Cup final, I was in the mix with all these other co-commentators. And at the end of the day, it's like, okay, we perceive that you've done the best, you're going to do the final. And that would have been the same situation. Everyone gets a fair chance to have been in place and actually showcase the final.
I mean, when it all boils down to it, people could say, well, Martin, you do Champions League games on a regular basis.
Yes,
but you've never won one.
Well, I've got to every other final, Jim, that there is.
Simon, you do a
fucking hell, man. Tim White, bro. I like you, but man, you don't, come on, man. You're an old man. You should have some respect when you're talking to these people, bro. Stop.
You host top boxing. Very, very, very successul. Yeah. But you've never been in the ring with your gloves.
And they'd be right to do that. And so if I sat in a room and I debated with Paul Smith what it felt like to be a fighter and told him what he should have done, I should get smacked around both metaphorically and literally. But I wouldn't do that. What I'd do is frame it in such a way that I would let their expertise come to the surface, because irrespective of whether he won a Champions League, he's been an elite footballer playing at an elite club.
He
hasn't won one, is the point.
If I not got to a quarter final in that,
but you don't need to defend yourself.
But I know.
You don't defend yourself.
It's not like I'm not taking part in that sport, Jim.
If we wanted to have a conversation with you about objectivity, then we'd all pull your pants out, because there'd be none. Right? But the fact of the matter is when it comes to listen to an elite footballer, you have to. It's when people that haven't done it refuse to defer to expertise. If you want to talk to me about the attitude of players and how they train on a weekly basis, I'll defer to them to some extent. I might debate with them.
If you just said, well, you've never played in the Champions League and you're going to do a Champions League final, then I'd say, you might have a point here. But I have played in that competition, so I know what that maybe means to the players.
Yeah, and as for boxing, you did stand up to Wilder the other day. So I suppose you get an argument as well.
He didn't stand up, he sat down squarely in his seat.
We got through that unscathed at 11:30.
White, man, you need to calm down. You need to calm down. He talks a little bit reckless sometimes. But easy work. That's not complicated. She needs to keep quiet. And we saw it. We actually summarized this video in the first 5 minutes. One, she wants the job. 2, more women have the job than men. 3, women's football should be left to die. It's natural death. Because without the men holding it up, without the male football clubs subsidizing the game, it will actually die. Let them have their own separate organization. Let them have their own separate football club. Let them have their own separate global infrastructure, and let's see how it survives. Women's football should have its own president, should have its own organization, all headed by women, separated completely. Why should Gianni Infantino subsidize the women's game? Let them make their own money. Let's see how they survive. That being said, leave a like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Out.